today. Today we're going to go over the WEN 13-inch planer. This is a lunchbox style planer. This is the first look at it today. This is their 2-speed, their model PL1337. This comes with a spiral cutting head. And I'll show you that once we get into opening this up. So this is how the package arrived to me. Unlike a different particular item that we unboxed, the package was damaged when we got it, but none of the parts were broken. Some of the paint was scratched, but that's some minor stuff here. If you'd like to watch that video, you can go ahead. It was this stand right here. All right, let's go ahead and open it up. Now, when you're cutting the tape, you always want to be a little bit careful and don't go ahead and stab down in it, because you don't know what's going to be inside. This is a product I bought with my own money. Some of the reasons I went with the WEN 13-inch here is because of the spiral cutting head. I've used lunchbox planers before, and you just can't beat the quality that comes out. And later today, we're going to go ahead and run some hardwood through here, some long hardwood. But we're going to show you how that comes out. I like this packaging a lot better. This is a very well packaged item. So it looks like there's going to be very minor assembly to this particular item. There's a dust shroud for all the tips. There's a nice warning label over the spindle. So just to mount the dust shield before we go ahead and turn this on. Okay. Some good tool storage integrated into the dust shield. That's pretty common. And here is an adapter for the shop vac and or dust collection system. go ahead and look at instructions here. Now this particular unit does have a blower, just like the DeWalt. This blower is integrated in with the motor. It's a good item just to help remove some of the chips, so you don't get as many clogs. The tools it came with is all the tools you need. Get a nice, just firm, snug tight. That's all you really need. Ooh, that's smooth. Now let's go ahead and check to see how she came from the factory. Let's raise it up just a little more. That's actually pretty impressive. It's pretty spot on. I don't think I need to adjust anything. Yeah. In-feed bed, spot on. The out-feed bed, spot on. It's all nice and just a little bit higher than the surface here. The whole idea of having these just a little bit higher is it helps give an even nicer pressure of the wood as it's going through the rollers on here. It's power fed through the top. So what that means is it grabs the top of the board and it runs the top of the board through the machine. So this is just a surface to slide against. This is your switch, the switch between your speeds. So it comes from the factory and it's low finished. We'll go over that too. We want to turn it to the high finish. So let's see. Shift only while machine is running. Let me double check that. So to change gears, we need to make sure it is running. You don't want to mess with that if it's not. That could screw up the transmission inside this. Another one of the good features is it's got nice rolling bars on top. As I've used many lunchbox style planers before, you know, I'm feeding the board through here and I'm collecting it and I'm stacking it on top of here. Typically I have a pile of boards here that I'm feeding in and then I'm racing to the back to try to get those and laying on top. And it just makes a nice, it makes a nice work work flow. Just putting the boards up here to be able to feed them in here. I do like these are rollers, and they're proud above the thing that will minimize scratches on it. So if you like to keep nice equipment, it will minimize the scratches on top of it. On the side over here, this is your height gauge adjuster. So what that means is you take the board down lower and lower, you set this to what height you want it to, and it will stop at that height. It starts off at 1/8, and its highest that it will go to is 1 3/4. It moves in 1/4 inch increments, so the next one is 1.5 inch, 1.25 inch, 1 inch, 3/4, 1/2, 1/4 inch, and then 1/8. Those are preset. Pretty nice to have. Here, some of them I've used had a bar that runs across the whole front here to tell how much material you're taking off. So when you enter the board here, it'll tell you how much material you're taking off. You don't ever want to take off a lot. So typically when I'm taking off anything, really the maximum amount I like to take off is anywhere between 1/16 at a time. Sure, we can go the full 1/8 inch, but you start popping fuses again because you're going to put a heavy load on these motors, and these are 20 amp motors. They take that draw. Let me double check that it is a 20 amp. One of the things I really do like is this shows you a depth, how much material you're taking off. I don't necessarily like that it's only right here where the number is shown. Some models and some other ones have a bar that runs a whole across the whole top. So whether you feed it in this side, it still shows the same amount. Same thing, if you feed it in over here, it shows this. This only has this one little spot right here. Now the advantage of having this at least is when you're coming down, you might not know what your board thickness is at that time because you're just running it through. But that's just a great indicator to show you, hey, you're taking a little too much off, because this is a 15 amp motor, and if you take the full 1/8 off, that's going to put a heavy load on the motor, and depending on how good your wiring is at home, you're going to start popping fuses. I've experienced it numerous times with other lunchbox style planers that I've used. Has a nice reset button right here available for you. A very easy to read gauge right here to see where you're at and how much you're taking off. Looks like I can adjust it because I need to double check its measurements from the factory. So it's got a nice adjustment right here and here. As well, looking at that's how the adjustment gauge is set up. There's steps, and there's a bar up top that comes down and hits the steps. And if you spin it, okay, so this is the spherical head that I'm talking about. See how it has all the blades, and there's steps. You have one here, one here. So what that does is as it's spinning, it's just taking away a little bit of material in those areas. Now, one of the advantages of these is this particular blade, you have two cutting edges. So if one gets nicked, you can switch it to the other side. And you don't have to switch the entire blade. Now that is right here the blower I was talking about that's integrated in with the motor. What this does is this just helps push air through the dust collection to push it out of the dust shroud. This is the dust shroud right here. It's pretty substantial in size, which is alright. There's the blower fins that connect, helping take outside air and bringing it in. it has a little tab right here. And you make sure you get in. And then it's just these two little set screws. Here. To adjust the dust shroud is mounted in with these two thumb screws right here. Fits over nicely. Alright, after the quick run through on this, we're going to go ahead and mount it to its home right here. And then we're going to run some wood through it. Ooh, that's a nice smooth lock. Unfortunately, the back side here, you have to remove the dust shroud to close it up. Alright, now that we have some weight on the stand, let's see how the stand functions. Oh, it rolls easy. I got a crack in the cement here. See how it rolls over that. Not the best. Gotta give it a little kick. There. But yet she rolls. Alright, now let's go ahead and set this up and start using it. We'll run some boards behind it. Behind me, you see nice thick and long boards, nice hardwood. Believe it or not, I recovered these from pallets. Yes, I removed all the nails. And I ran a magnet across it to make sure that there was nothing else on there. Don't want to ruin any of the good new blades. Alright, first thing first, let's set up these for the extra support and length of these bars. And go ahead and take your little level right there, just drop it on there. Pull this up just until it just touches. And go ahead and lock her down. Now you don't want to keep weight on it because there is some play in the bar right here. You can see that play. So you just want to lightly bring it up and lightly lock it down. So when it's sitting down, it's sitting flush. And lock it down. That's a pretty nice feature of this stand. In these pockets right here with some plastic shims that keep a nice snug fit on there until we can lock it down properly. Well, after I got done tightening that, let's go ahead and readjust it. Alright, and there she goes. Now let's run across to the other side. Bar fully out. Let's go ahead and lock this bar down. Do that first. Loosen that up. Just touching it, keeping the weight off from everything. Oh, look at that. Nice. Let's see. Nice. Now, when you're about to turn this on, make sure you use the proper gauge extension cord. You all know you're not going to be close enough for the plug. This only has a 6-foot cord it comes with. You're never going to be that close enough. So when you're using an extension cord, make sure you use the right gauge cord for the 15 amps. So this is going to draw all of the 15 amps. All right, she's plugged in. Let's go ahead and turn this on, and let's hear the difference between the two speeds. Now remember, when you adjust the speeds, it must be running. Okay, there's no difference in sound, because all you're doing is it feels like you're engaging a different set of belts to set the feed rate. You have two different feed rates, not spindle speeds. So you typically want to use a fast just to rough it through, and then you're finished, you want to use the slower. But in this particular case, we're just going to go ahead and keep it set for the slow speed, because I really want to see the advantages in making these rough cut boards and seeing how well they come out. So all of these boards are about 1 1/8 inches. This is about 1 1/8 inches thick, 1 1/8 inches. One inch, and 1 1/8 inches. Some of these boards have a nice warp to them, like this, a nice crown, showing this. This is high, this corner's low, this corner's low. Also, the particular project I want to use this for, the nail side of the board, because these were recovered from a pallet, I would like them machined off first, or planed off in this particular case, leaving these holes on this side. Yeah, there's holes. I'm going to cover them in the project I'm working on. But a lot of the people I make stuff out of this like that rustic look from the pallet. This still is some premium wood. Nice and hard. I'm going to go ahead and start with just these two boards. See how they work out. I'm going to go ahead and bring this down. So I measured it. It's about 1 1/8 inches. So let's go ahead and take off an aggressive 3/16. I'm sorry, 3/32. Oh, this is smooth. Some of the other bench tops aren't as smooth. It says 4 posts. The posts here, 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 and here. They're all hooked up. Belt system on the bottom, underneath here. So I turn one, and it turns all 4. Nice and sturdy, just well built. Really appreciate it. Really do like these rollers. And we're going to see the benefit of these rollers coming out. I'm going to go ahead and use my gauge here to make sure we're right there. All right. So according to my gauge, we're at 1 inch. So I'm going to go ahead and take one of these boards Let's see where we're at. Ooh, we're right there. Right there at that aggressive 3/32 that I wanted to take off. So right there's the gauge where I wanted to take the aggressive 3/32 off. Alright, so I showed you where at the gauge, taking off the 3/32 that I want to take off. Let's go ahead and start it up. Like this one. Wow, that was pretty satisfying. Yes, I know it's new tools, new blades, but this surface, that is smooth. You see that? Went from a rough saw cut finish. You can see the roughness in the lines right here from the factory, which is just a nice smooth board. That's amazing. Now let's see how much snipe is on here. So you can feel the snipe by running your finger across it. So this board feels like there's 2.5. This board right here, about 2.5. Now the long board. Let's see if that. All right, that's 2 3/4. That's pretty good. I've had other lunchbox planers that take off over 3 inches. And that's a lot of waste of material. Man. The dust collection on it, if I had a vacuum to assist the blower, probably would be a little better. It's not that good. It spits a lot out in the front, even with that added blower that's blowing through there to help the chips out. Now it's getting very nice and consistent chips. I like that. Nice and small, consistent chips. Now with the blade, depending on if you put the board in at an angle, it might get long chips. And those chips, I found, tend to clog this. If there's anything, after a while, they build up, it just starts to clog up. Having these smaller chips, these smaller consistent chips, will be a lot easier for it to evacuate from the planer. It's not as loud as some of the other lunchbox planers I've worked with. Not as quiet. All in all, I'm satisfied. But let's go ahead and run a board. Let's go ahead and run board through the fast feed rate and see how that quality comes out. Alright, let's go ahead and turn it on and set the feed rate to high. Alright, the feed rate's turned on high. Let's go ahead and flip this board so we have two surfaces to compare. Now, I'm going to try again to take an aggressive 3/32, but unfortunately, we are now working on the cupped side. So right now I'm going to test the board because it is sitting nice and flat from that side. I'm going to test, make sure that we're not overdoing it. Alright, yep, I got to bring it up some. Now in the center, it's taking less out than the two edges because once again we're dealing with the cup side. Let's go ahead and remove the board a little bit, turn this thing on and run it through. Alright, not as good as the slower side. You can definitely feel the grain, but a light sanding, maybe even starting at 120 and just going up to 200, take away some of the grain. You can just feel some of the grain of the wood. But then the other side, where it's slow, oh, you don't need to sand anything. It's nice. Now let's measure the snipe, see if there's a difference. Alright. So once again, this is the fast side. You can feel it in the grain. Alright, there we go. So we're looking at about 2.5 inches of snipe. So that's pretty consistent. What? No, she should not be hungry. No, she should not be.